Before we open it up for the public sector, we have the Ministry of ICT, Bangladesh Computer Council, A2I, Prime Minister's Office. I'd just like to give a little bit of a recap. From Bangladesh perspective, 85% of the population is unbanked. We would like financial inclusion, that is what the bankers have said, along with technology inclusion that helps. The technology companies, as you heard Microsoft speak, is betting on the cloud. That is saying we will roll out our technology on the cloud. Basis SoftExpo, and the Minister of ICT's dream is to have a $5 billion export achievable by 2021. So keeping that in mind, we now have to say, okay, these are the things we can do and what we want to do, but then there is a bit of what is possible, because we have the director of the National Data Center and Data Systems who will speak next, who will guide us on what is actually possible. It's not, you cannot do everything in day one. So cloud is a possibility, but please remember there are 3 options for the cloud. One is the private cloud that is locally hosted. Then there is a public cloud that is hosted outside the country. And we also have a hybrid model where you figure out what you host locally and what you host outside. So without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Tarique Barkatullah from Ministry of Information, ICT Division of Ministry of Post and Telecommunication, Bangladesh Computer Council, National Director for the National Data Center, to share his insight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I also thank Microsoft and the organizer to invite me in this session, and most of all this cloud-based environment for providing online payment services. This is something that we are doing research for the Bangladesh, and this is very similar things has been spoken here. But I will give you a little bit more insights where Bangladesh can leverage its technology, newer technologies like clouds and IoT for the banking sector. And of course, there is no shortcut answers to whether Bangladesh should use cloud-based environment for providing online services or not. Because you have to understand that banking is just not cloud. There is many of the other intricate activities associated with the banking sector. And as you see, this is only the tip of the iceberg. That is only 1/3 you see is the cloud, 2/3 is below the water. So you don't understand what it is, and most people don't understand. And for the client, all it matters is getting the service on time and exactly the service they want. So when we are looking at a cloud-based service, the other thing that comes into play is the payment gateway. And the thing is that we can choose the payment gateway from third party, or we can have our own payment gateway. When it comes to a third party payment gateway, then you will encounter a lot of limitations, because you may not be able to customize the third party payment gateway as per your own requirement. So you have to have a trade-off and have to do a particular study how you want to do it. If you have your own payment gateway, then you get save on the money and the fees. You can customize your features, and you can offer payment gateway product to other merchants. And also, when it comes to critical part, whether you have the human resources available or not for managing the payment resources, what are the compliance you are going to adapt for the payment gateway, and what are the security features which you are going to adapt for the payment gateway. That is a sort of cost factor. So you have, the banks need to trade between the cost and the compliance and the securities and come up with their own version of the solution. And differentiating factor in overcrowded market for the payment gateway are the APIs for the outside world. It is not that you are integrating your own banks, but you have to integrate other payment solutions, so that you have to open up the APIs. When you bring up the APIs, then you bring up another sets of security concerns and security solutions into your payment gateway. So that is one area where you will be needing lot of thought. And there were question of whether we should use public cloud, private cloud, community cloud, or hybrid cloud. There are these 4 versions of cloud solutions available for the banking sector. It all depends on where you want to keep your information. As a client, I will not want my private data to be exposed to others. And as a client, I will not want my personal or private data exposed to other regulatory authority of other countries. They have no business looking into my private information. So this is one area where the bank has to be very careful, because it may integrate into the global community, but it may drive away a lot of clients. And also, when you have your data exposed to other regulatory authorities in other countries, it comes with other relevant issues which needs to be addressed. Whether what happens if you do not pay the subscription fee, your account is locked down or not? How do you pay the fees? And so these are the few very serious issues that you need to access. And then also the risk management factors, which has a long list of risk management factors. So those factors, I guess, when the banks will be evaluating the in details of providing online services to cloud, they can look into it. And the data encryption technologies which will be coming in, and also there is a PCI DSS and PCI DSM. Those are the compliance which needs to be associated with your cloud technologies, and I don't see many of the banks complying with the PCI DSS requirements. So these are the areas where we need to build up the human capacity. And in most of the banks, if you go through it, the IT departments are becoming mostly a cost center, because as you have seen in the Craig's presentation, 70% is just to keep your servers on. The cost is going there. So what I feel is that we have to make our banking sectors more competitive and bring down all the services available to the citizen for innovation. So how innovation can be implemented in your banking sector, that is something that the banks have to sit together and formulate the policies and get it approved very quickly, and hopefully then the cloud will be the reality in the banking sector. I am working with have just drafted a report for the central bank for the use of cloud-based environment, and the central bank is surely going to have a dialogue with all the banks and the regulatory authorities in coming months for implementing the cloud. So until that time, until that policies are approved, all the banks should also do their study and come up with a complete sets of information and data to implement this or propagate this cloud concept in the banking sector of Bangladesh. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barkatullah. At least you've given us hope.